Hey buddy, a little ghost story for you. Um, this is one that, I don't believe in, well, do I believe in ghosts? I don't know. I've had a couple of things happen to me in my life where I sort of have to sort of think, and this is one of them. It's a bit of a long thing, so you'll have to be patient with me. Several years ago, I mean 30 odd years ago, I used to do a lot of match fishing in the UK, which is where you sit beside canals in ponds fishing against other anglers, and the person who gets the most fish and largest weight wins, and blah blah blah. Well, this particular time I was fishing a canal towpath down south, and this towpath was a metre wide and ran along the side of this dead straight piece of canal. And I'd drawn at the beginning of the match, you draw a peg out of the bag, and that tells you where you're going to fish. Well, my peg was situated pretty much in the middle of this wall that ran along the side of the towpath. And when you sat down, there was very little space around it. You had like the wall, then the towpath, then the canal. And I sat on this. And I sat in the middle of this wall, and at each end were two other anglers. There was one angler one angler at the other end. So anybody who came down that towpath had to go past them, because they also backed onto the wall. And the other side of this wall was a church, and that was a churchyard and graveyard, and which became relevant later on. At the time, I just thought it was a church. It was a very still, frosty morning. I mean, there'd been snow. There was still snow on the ground, but the snow had turned to ice with footprints in it. And the canal was clear and very, very cold. So fishing was incredibly difficult. I mean, it was, we were scratching for small fish. I mean, it's going to be a few ounces that are going to win a match. And I was sitting there quietly with my pole, fishing away. And about 2 hours into the match, a young lad appeared beside me, and he looked about between 5 and 7, I suppose, in shorts and a t-shirt with nothing on his feet, which I thought was a bit strange because that's how cold it was. And I thought he came out of the local estate, and I immediately said to him, "Hey mate," and he asked me how I was doing, and I said, "No, I ain't caught anything." And then I said to him, "What the hell are you doing here? It's freezing cold. Where are your parents?" And thinking his parents are further down the thing or what have you. So I looked round at my pole, looked back where he was, and he'd gone. So I assumed that he'd wandered off, and I couldn't see him anywhere, so I gathered everything was all right. So never thought, well, I did sort of think about it, but I just thought this is all a bit strange, But I stood up, had a look round, couldn't actually see anything. So I thought, oh, well, he's fine. Nobody had fell in the canal because it was like a mill pond. So I just assumed that in the time I was looking at my bowl, he'd either been picked up over the wall and took her away or whatever. So I didn't think any more about it. Well, 3 hours later, the end of the match came, we all weighing in and various other things, and the angler from my left came wandering up and asked me how I'd got on, told him that I'd struggled, and I said to him, what about that young lad? Did you see that young lad with nothing on his feet, come walking down? He looked like he must have come out of the estate. He said, "No, I never see anybody." I said, no, he must have come past you because he came from your way. He said, "No, I never see anybody." "Oh, I tell you, he must have climbed over the wall then or something, I don't know." He said, "No, I never see anybody all the way through the match." "Not really. I saw one person dog walking, they got the hump, turned around and went back again because they couldn't be bothered to get past us all." So I said, "Oh, right." So, and then we packed up, weighed in, and while I was getting my gear together, this young old couple come walking down the path, walking the dog, and the old boy must have fished because he was asking me how I got on. I said, "Oh, terrible, I got 2 fish, didn't get anywhere near winning any money." And he said, and I said to him, something really weird happened about 2 hours into the match. And he said, "What?" I said, "A young lad appeared. He's about between 6 and 8 years old and wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and asked me how I was getting on." And then when I looked at my rod for a few seconds. I mean, not long, because I was concentrating on my float. I looked round, he'd gone. So I assumed he'd come out of the estate, never thought about it. He said, "Really?" He said, "Oh, right." He said, "Yeah, he's often seen." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Come, look over here." So I looked over the wall with him, and he pointed down. There was a gravestone. A young lad had drowned in the river right where I'd fished a few years earlier off a barge, holiday boat. and he was buried where he drowned. You know, the family wanted him buried where he drowned, and apparently he's often seen. So, was it him? We never will know. I don't know. Was he him? It seemed a bit strange to me. And the other thing I will say is where they had the frozen snow and that, there weren't no footprints or anything like that. But of course that gave me the bit of the heebie-jeebies, and the bloke sort of said, you know, I think you've seen your first ghost. So of course that was it really. Okay then, I hope that interested you for 5 minutes, you know. See you later.